Jamie O'Rourke and the Big Potato, an Irish folktale, illustrated and told by Tomie de Paola, creatively read and adapted by Miss Jill. Jamie O'Rourke was the laziest man in all of Ireland. He would do anything to avoid working, especially if it had to do with growing potatoes. "Jamie O'Rourke," his wife Eileen would say, "will have nothing to eat this winter if you don't go out and dig up those praties." "Oi, Saint preserve us," Jamie would whine. "Me back's as sore as it can be. Like I've been saying to yous, wife, you'll have to dig 'em up yourself, or I'll break in two if I as much as get out of this bed." So Eileen, who had done all the planting and watering and weeding anyhow, would go out into the tiny garden and dig the smallest potatoes in Ireland, all because Jamie was too lazy to dig up large garden and had no money to go buy good potato seeds. Then poor Eileen wrenched her back and was laid up in bed. "Oh, St. Bridget and the Virgin Mary herself must have smiled on Eileen O'Rourke," the village women said. "Why, it's the first rest she's been having since she married Jamie O'Rourke." "Yes, it's true." With Eileen in bed, Jamie began to worry. No Eileen to dig up meant no praties all winter, and no praties meant no food. "Oi, poor me," Jamie wailed. "I'll be starving to death. I'd best be a-going to church and confessed to Father O'Malley. There's no telling how soon the old death will be knocking at me door." So soon, even though it was midnight, Jamie set out for the church. He was about halfway down the hill when he heard singing and a tap-tap-tapping sound. "Sure, and I be knowing it," Jamie whispered. "But I swear it's a leprechaun." And sure enough, sitting in a circle of ferns in the moonlight was a leprechaun singing and hammering tiny nails into the heels of fairy boots he was making. Jamie knew just what to do. He crept up and grabbed the little man by his coattails and held him firm.
"Oh, let me go! Let me go!"
the leprechaun shouted. "Oh, not on your life," Jamie said. "Not until you show me where you're keeping your pot of gold." Now everyone in Ireland knows that leprechauns make boots and dancing shoes for fairies. Who pays for them with that gold? And everyone knows that if you catch a leprechaun, he'll pay you for his freedom with his pot of gold. But this leprechaun was clever than most.
"Oh, please, Mr. Mortal Man," he pleaded. "I'm just starting out making me fairy shoes, and I only have 2 pieces of gold in me pot. Won't you take maybe a wish instead?"
"Ho! Why, what would I wish for?" Jamie asked. "Me, who's about to die of starvation because me wife is sick in bed and we can't dig out the praties for winter. They're such puny praties anyhow."
"Well,"
said the leprechaun, reaching into his pocket,
"you could wish for the biggest pratie in the world. It would last all winter, and you wouldn't have to do nothing more than plant this seed here, water it, and wait."
That sounded like a wonderful plan to Jamie. "Done!" he shouted. And as the leprechaun dropped the seed into Jamie's hand, Jamie let go of the coattails and off the leprechaun scampered. When Eileen heard what he had done, she was furious. "Jamie O'Rourke! Oh, you're not only the laziest man in Ireland, but a fool as well, giving up me pot of gold for a pratty seed." "Well, I'm going to plant the seed, Eileen, and water it, and you'll see," said Jamie, and he went on out. And Faith she did see. In no time at all, the biggest, finest potato had sprouted out of the ground, followed by the potato itself. It was so big it pushed up not only all the dirt in the garden, but the garden shed and the corner of the cottage as well. "Well, surely now it's time to dig," Jamie said proudly. He hoed all around it, but he couldn't dig up that pratty out of the ground. He got a beam and a big rock and tried to pry it out. He pushed and pushed, but it wouldn't budge. As he was pondering what to do, his neighbors passed by on the way to the village. He couldn't believe his eyes. He couldn't wait to tell everyone in the village what he had seen. And before you knew it, the hill up to Jamie's was filled with villagers coming to see the big potato. "Whoa, where did it come from?" they asked. Jamie told them about the lucky night he had caught the leprechaun and how smart he had been. "Why, anyone could have gotten a pot of gold," he bragged. "But the biggest pratty in the world, well, that took some doing." "However did you outsmart a leprechaun?"
How did you do it?
they all asked him at once. Jamie hesitated and scratched his head. "We'll help you dig up your pratty, Jamie, if you'll be telling us how you did it." And they grabbed shovels and hoes and started to dig. They dug and they pushed and shoveled until the potato flew up out of its hole. It rolled down the hill faster and faster until it reached the bottom, where it bounced up high and came to a stop, wedged between two stone walls on either side of the road. What to do now?
This here pratty is so big, no one, no cart, nothing can get by it.
The constable complained to Father O'Malley.
How's a body to get in or out of the village now? What are we gonna do?
Whatever shall we do?
Yes, what shall we do?
When they all looked at Jamie and said, "It's your pratty. You've got to move it out of our way." "Well," Eileen spoke up, "there's more than enough pratty for everyone. Why won't you all take some?" So the villagers sawed and chopped and carted off huge pieces of the potato, while Jamie sat on the stone wall and watched. All winter long, everyone had potato to eat. And eat.
I'm sick of potatoes.
And eat. Until
Potato.
no one wanted to see or even hear about potato again. In the spring, Jamie said, "I saved a potato eye for the seed, and it's just about time to plant it." "Oh no!" the villagers all cried.
No, thank you.
"If you promise not to plant it, Jamie, we'll promise before St.Patrick and all the other saints to see that you and Eileen always have plenty to cook and eat. We don't want another giant pratty around here." Jamie smiled and agreed. What a perfect life for a lazy man. "And so you see, darling Eileen," Jamie told her, "I wasn't a fool with that leprechaun after all." And Eileen had to admit that Jamie O'Rourke was right. The